Hey everyone, it's Troy Sage, local realtor dedicated to doing real estate differently. And I wanted to go live today on YouTube to discuss the new process of the Texas homestead property tax exemption. So, those of you that have lived in Texas for a while and those that are buying homes right now know that if you purchase a property that is going to be your primary residence, then you have the right to file a homestead tax exemption. And what this exemption does is it drops the appraised value $100,000 below your actual market value of the property, and then you are taxed on that actual amount. Well, that's all been great. And for years, it has been more of a file once, click it, and forget it type of process. But in 2023, the proposition passed to lower our property taxes. And with that came a new verification process for homeowners. So, roughly every 5 years, you're going to have to verify and validate that it is still technically your primary residence and you are homesteading it. Now, I'm going to walk you through the process and how this has changed and what has happened and what you need to do to protect you, your family, and your money. But let me share screen with you a couple things that are important to know, and I'm going to walk you through step by step. So let's start with this, is that the homestead exemption increased your exemption amount. So in 2023, it increased from 40,000 to 100,000, which means that what it used to be was if you bought a home for $400,000, then your taxable amount of the home would be $360,000. Now, if you buy a home for $400,000, it drops it down a full $100,000, so you're only paying taxes on $300,000. And what the appraisal district has done is in the reappraisal process of your properties that they do every year, if you have a homestead property tax exemption in place, they are reducing your taxes by that $100,000. So it doesn't matter when you purchase the property, that is what they're doing. Let me go on to talk about some more exemptions, and I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to not lose this exemption. This is really important. So in Texas, homeowners that are 65 or older are also eligible for an additional $110,000 exemption. Veterans may also qualify for a $12,000 exemption, but this is the big one. There is a renewal requirement now. So what's going to happen is every 5 years, you're going to need to verify that it's still your property, it's still your primary residence. Let's talk about these exemptions a little bit more and what you need to do. So, number one, you file the form and it gets approved that it's your primary residence, it's where you live, and it is now going to be homesteaded. So, here's what homestead exemption does for you: by not only reducing your taxes, it also protects you from other creditors. So in the event that you have a shortcoming and you can't pay certain creditors, they cannot take your house from you. If you go through bankruptcy, creditors cannot take your house from you. So if you're a homeowner, it's very important to file this homestead property tax exemption. I have other videos on YouTube that go into detail how to file the forms and the benefits of the homestead property tax exemption. I just wanted to reiterate a few things that are important for you as a homeowner here in Texas. So if you want more information on the process and a deep dive into what the homestead exemption does, check out my other videos here on YouTube. But let's talk about what's going to happen now. Let me share screen again. So the appraisal district is going to notify you via mail that they want to verify your property tax exemption. This means all of us here in Texas, we get a notification from the appraisal district that says, here's your taxes for the upcoming year. Those that have a mortgage then send that off to the mortgage company if you have impound accounts or escrow accounts set up. And then your mortgage company, if you have the impound set up, will pay your taxes for you. So we get these once a year. We send them out to our mortgage company if you have a mortgage. If not, if you're paying your taxes direct, you get the bill and then you make the appropriate payment to the appraisal district. Now what's going to happen is you're going to get, if you need to verify, not everyone's going to have to verify. They're going to have to take time to go through every single home in the county throughout the state. If you get a notice in the mail, it is important that you open all of your mail from the appraisal district and see if they're asking you to validate and verify that you still live at this address and that is still your primary residence. The appraisal district will give you 30 days to respond. If you don't respond, there's no grace period beyond 30 days. They will reappraise the value of your property and they will remove your tax exemption status. So let me repeat that. If you don't validate and verify within 30 days, they will automatically remove your tax exemption, reappraise the price of the home, and there'll be no tax exemption whatsoever. So if you bought a home a few years ago for a couple $100,000, and let's say now the home is worth, double, let's say it's worth $400,000 or $500,000, and you don't verify, they will immediately, upon the end of 30 days, they will now value your home at today's value and tax you on that without any deductions. So please, please, please check your mail. And if you get a letter from the appraisal district, open it up. And if they're asking you to validate and verify, it's a simple process. I don't want you to lose any money, and I don't want you to go through heartache and stress of trying to get things back into place. And they will never be the same. If you lose your status, they're not going to take the price back down to when you forgot to or didn't have a chance to actually validate your exemption. So let me show you or tell you what you have to do. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need some documentation, and you're going to have to go to the appraisal district's website and fill out a document. Now, I know some of you are going to be really angry about this. If you are, I'm fine with that. Leave comments below. I'm not part of the government. I'm a local realtor, so I'm on your side. I'm dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. But I want you to think about this. It takes roughly 5 minutes. You hop online or call the appraisal district, whatever you want to do. Call the appraisal district, verify who you are. They're going to send you documents in the mail. You fill them back out, you send them back. If you're going to do it online, then what you do is you go to your county's appraisal district website. There's going to be a link there. Every county has it. You click the link, you get the document to verify. You fill out the verification. Some counties allow you to upload the verification, and some still require you to send it in the mail. Let's talk about the additional documentation. You are also going to have to provide a copy of your driver's license or your state ID to prove that you live there. And please make sure, I've had this happen to some people, they send in their driver's license and they never change their address from their previous home in Texas on their driver's license. The address on your driver's license or state issued ID has to match the home that you're applying for the homestead tax exemption. So I know people that own multiple homes in Texas, and let's say the largest, most expensive home has been their homestead property tax exemption, but they moved and bought a smaller home. Maybe they're using the more expensive home as a rental, or they, for some reason, have just changed their address to a different address for mail purposes. Make sure that you go to the DMV or go online and change the address on your state issued ID or driver's license so it matches the home that you're going to homestead. You're going to get the exemption on. They have to match, or the appraisal district does not have to grant you the exemption. So, number one, fill out the form. Number two, make sure you have identification that shows the exact same address. So let's go back to, let me go back and screen share a little bit. Here's some benefits of the homestead property tax exemption. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. It protects you from increased taxes. So with the homestead property tax exemption, your taxes can't go up any more than 10% a year. In the market, as it has increased, and if you have bought a home 10, 15 years ago, you understand that if you bought a home for $100,000, it's worth $600,000 today. The one thing you don't want to do is lose your tax exemption because you've only had an increase 10% a year. where you can see that we've had increases year over year of well over 10%. In some moments in time, we've seen 20%, 30% equity in as little as 9 to 10 months. So don't lose your exemption status. Now, here's something else. If you don't respond to the appraisal district's request to validate and you miss a 30-day cutoff, they're going to reestablish your tax value at today's value. And let's say you catch this afterwards. And I'm sure there's people going to catch it afterwards. They're going to be mad. They're going to be shocked because their taxes are going to double or triple or whatever, depending on when they put their exemption in place. It doesn't stop you from reapplying. You can reapply for the homestead tax exemption after the 30-day grace period, but they're not going to bring your value back down to where it was originally. So you can reapply, and once it is verified, they will then put the deduction right back in place. But here's the key point. If you have massive equity in your home, or in my opinion, any equity, you don't want to lose this exemption. I mean, $1 is $1, right? If I'm paying on, say, $400,000 in appraisal district taxes, and my home's now worth $600,000, I don't want it going to $600,000 and then it reduces $100,000. Now I'm paying on $500,000. I understand this is a very heated point, but I want you to understand also that there had to be a way for checks and balance because we have individuals that have been skirting the system. Now, I don't work for the government. Like I said earlier, I'm a local realtor. I'm in the trenches with you as a homeowner and as a resident here in Texas. So pay attention to your mail. Now, I don't know if you're angry about this or you think this is a great thing. I'm fine either way. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to create a dialogue with you on what your thoughts are on this. Now, let me say to residents of Texas that have been here their whole lives or have been here for a long period of time, I understand that property taxes are a very hot point. But I want you to think about this. In all my years of living in Michigan, all my years of living in California, all my years of living in Arizona, in all three of those states, I was a licensed realtor and had long-term business in those states. I can tell you that paying 2% property tax is not cool. It's not great for our pocketbooks. But I will tell you that in those states, there are pockets of homes where you're paying as much as we are in Texas, if not more. And we don't have a state income tax. So there's a lot of reasons why I moved to Texas. Number one, I love Texas. I love the people here. I love a lot about it. I've never lived in an area where I love everything about it, but I love a lot about Texas. The pros outweigh the cons. I can tell you when I lived in California, in Temecula, California, there were homes that I sold and homes that I lived in that I was paying 2.25% property tax, plus a state income tax, plus a sales tax and everything else. So before we get really angry, I've had quite a few people comment on some videos about how angry they are with the state about certain things. I understand. I'm in the trenches with you. I'm not happy about everything the state does, but I want you to think that there's a lot of people moving to the state of Texas just to avoid not only the high property taxes in other states, but also the income tax and the high sales tax. So there's no such thing as anything perfect here in this world, but we do the best we can with what we have. Listen, I appreciate the fact that you've watched this video so long, and I know this is a long one because of the fact that it's a very heavy topic, and I don't want you to lose any money. My focus is always on helping you in real estate and what works best for you, your family, and your money. This is a money issue, which could affect your family and everything else. So please check your mail. And if you get something from the appraisal district, don't just file it like we have in the past several years. We go, hey, that's just my increased property tax, or hey, that's just verifying my property tax. Read through it. And I would highly suggest when you open it, if you see that you have to validate, reach out to the appraisal district right away. Go online, validate, and get it done. This way, now you're going to click it and forget it. Last thing I want to say is that not everyone is going to get this verification. They're going to do it systematically. And the first batch that they're doing this year is going to be anything that's been red flagged. For example, if you've changed your address on your driver's license and it doesn't match your homestead tax exemption, that's going to be a red flag and you're going to get this verification. So please keep an eye on your mail. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I will happily walk you through the process. If you can save some money on this and keep your status straight, fantastic. If you're a brand new homeowner, please make sure that if it's your primary residence, that you file for this homestead property tax exemption. Any questions? Leave a comment below or reach out to me direct. I will have information in the description. All right. Thanks so much. And I look forward to seeing you really soon. Bye for now.